Butter is seeing a new heyday along with the specialty foods industry, which has seen growth of 149% over the last 10 years. Butter's growth has been mostly in the high-end product formulations. As an ingredient, it has been around a long time, appearing in cuisines across the globe. David Tannis' comment in the foreword to Butter: A Rich History sums it up beautifully. It is a culinary catalyst, an agent of change, a gastronomic rock star ubiquitous in the world's most fabulous cuisines. Butter is boss. Butter first appeared in the Neolithic Stone Age, that's before 2000 BCE. And the earliest butters were produced by nomadic peoples from sheep, goats, and yaks and camels. From the Middle Ages, butter was produced by family farms, and in the West, those family farms were primarily cows and then sheep. Around the world, the dairy industry and the butter industry started to industrialize in the late 19th century, and that brought about conformity and consistency in the product of what butter was and food safety. Notably, in the United States, in 1923, Congress actually passed a law defining butter fat content to be at least 80%. Today, artisanal local butter is making a comeback, and I say comeback because there's a real growth in dairy and butter from family farms. I interviewed the proprietor at one such family farm, the Venison Valley Farm, and Kelsey Killian told me that she actually produces very little butter, approximately 10 pounds a month, because her customers really want fluid drinking milk and cheeses. The difference between cheese and butter, you ask? Cheese is made from curdling the whole milk, which notably retains the whey and a lot of the proteins that are in the original milk product. Butter is actually made by separating the cream from the whole milk. The typical composition of butter is 80% fat, 18% water, 2% salt, and a little bit of milk salad. And while the mechanics of making butter are relatively simple, shaking it up, transformation from cream to butter is actually a complex chemical process. Butter is a fat, also known as a lipid, and the lipid profile of butter determines different characteristics of the butter, like taste, or melting rate, or spreadability. Speaking of taste, variation in taste are based on the type of animal, the breed of animal, what it ate, how the producer actually manipulates the temperature during tempering, and adding ingredients like salt and bacteria and biological flavors. After the cream is separated from the skim milk, commercially available butter requires pasteurization of the cream. After pasteurization, much of the product variation in butter is introduced. The cream may be cultured by adding bacteria and citric acid to make the cultured butter. Sweet cream does not have these additives and is the predominant variety sold in the United States. Churning is the culmination of the butter production process, which chemically is called a phase inversion process, changing an oil in water emulsion to a water in oil emulsion. And now, voila, butter. Unsalted butter, salted butter, clarified butter, grass-fed butter, European-style butter, cultured butter, whipped butter, truffle butter, etc., etc. According to the USDA, consumption of fluid milk has been declining for more than 70 years, while demand for other dairy products has been steadily growing. The U.S. butter market is worth almost $1 billion, and the U.S. is only 8% of global production. Compare that with India, number one, at 58%. Here we produce more than 2 billion pounds, and that 2 billion pounds does not even meet the demand of the U.S. market. Growth in our market has been driven primarily by increased demand for natural, or organic, and artisanal products. The U.S. butter market does have challenges: increased competition from plant-based dairy products, rising costs of production, a fluctuating milk supply, and most notably, environmental sustainability. There are a number of sustainability issues around processing of butter. First of all, the feed and grain production and overgrazing of dairy cows utilize a huge amount of land that is not available for human food growing and often depletes the soil. The energy consumed to run processing equipment and provide transportation from farm to processor and from processor to distributor are significant contributors to global warming. Methane contributes 1.3% to greenhouse gas emissions. Methane is released in cow burps and from manure storage. Up to 12% of the feed that cattle eat is wasted through the methane gas they produce. Consumer packaging in the butter industry is mostly non-sustainable, plastic and other non-biodegradables widely used. As you can see, there is no shortage of concerns around people, place, and planet in the butter and dairy industry. The sustainable future of butter can only be realized through production optimization and climate change mitigation, because growth in demand is unlikely to decrease.